Hi, I'm Abby, and I work here at the Defiance Public Library in the Children's Department. Right now, I'm going to show you some of our new juvenile picture book titles, which you can check out with your library card.
This month, we are going to go over several books that take us on all kinds of different adventures. We go to the moon, we celebrate a birthday, we see what it's like to be a toy, we learn how to eat a fly, we act like sheep, we learn about saying no, and we even get to go on an adventure with a mermaid. So let's go ahead and start. In the book, Goodnight Astronaut, written by Scott Kelly, illustrated by Izzy Burton, and published by Crown Books for young readers, we learn about twins who want to be astronauts. They go through lots of adventures to be able to go to space. You'll go all over the world from the bottom of the ocean to the coldest parts on Earth, and then to flying in the sky. This book was written by a man who tells dreams he and his brother had as children and how they persevered through and made them happen. It shows all the work astronauts have to go through in order to finally go up to space. This book has some beautiful pictures of all the places that astronauts train at. Check it out to see your favorite part. Next, let's talk about a book that celebrates a birthday. Star of the Party, The Solar System Celebrates. Written by Jan Carr and illustrated by Juana Medina. Published by Crown Books for young readers. Which planet or star do you think they are celebrating? I'll give you a hint. We see it during the day and it keeps us nice and warm. That's right, they are celebrating the sun. The sun is celebrating its 4.6 billionth birthday. That's way old. In this book, you'll have fun learning about the different planets and of course the sun. Earth throws the party and has some interesting ideas for how the planets can celebrate. They even have a mysterious planet show up to the party. Learn a lot of cool facts while celebrating a big party for our favorite star, the sun. Speaking of favorites, do you have a favorite toy? Do you wonder what it's like to be a toy that a child doesn't like? In the book, I Am Not a Dog Toy, written by Ethan T. Berlin, illustrated by Jared Chapman, and published by Random House, a bear tells about being a toy that a little girl doesn't really like. She thinks he looks weird and doesn't want to play with him. The bear decides to come up with some ways to get the little girl to like him, but the little girl refuses. Soon you'll be laughing as you see who the bear makes friends with instead of the child. You'll go through all of the fun the bear has when he decides he doesn't need to be friends with the little girl. He just needs to have an adventure with his new best friend, even if it wasn't what he wanted at first. Take a look at this book and decide what you think. In the next book, we will go on a different kind of adventure, one that involves eating. What do you think we will learn to eat? 13 Ways to Eat a Fly, written by Sue Heavenrich, illustrated by David Clark, and published by Charles Bridge. Did you know that there are so many different ways to eat a fly? This book shows how different animals and plants eat flies. It also takes a look at different types of flies. The book starts with frogs eating them and ends up with how a human accidentally eats them. How gross is that? Do you think a fly baked into a cake would be good? We might not think they're very tasty, but several different animals think they are delicious. Go through the pages and see the various ways that different animals eat these different kinds of flies. Some may even shock you. Learn about the deer fly, the fungus gnat, and even the bee fly. Great informative book with lots of interesting pictures. While we are talking about eating, I want to mention the book Sheepish, Wolf Undercover, written and illustrated by Helen Yoon and published by Candlewick Press. What happens when a wolf pretends to be a sheep? In this book, he turns into a vegetarian. Wolf tells us steps on how to successfully disguise yourself so you can fit into the flock of sheep. He makes a master plan that seems to be working perfectly until a lamb shows him some love. Then he decides he just can't eat them and makes a new plan. Learn what happens to the wolf and why he just can't seem to eat the sheep. Follow along with the new plans and what happens to his sheep friends. Saying no is hard, right? Well, not for this little rabbit. No, said Rabbit. Written and illustrated by Mario Kenricks and published by Peachtree Publishing Company, is about a rabbit that just likes the word no. When Mama asked him to do something, He just always replies with no. However, after he says the word, he realizes that maybe what Mama is asking isn't so bad. He goes throughout the day having fun and playing, but always answers with no. The rabbit says no to eating, but sees the juicy carrots and cannot resist. Then Mama asks if the rabbit wants to go outside, and immediately no comes out of the rabbit's mouth. But he eventually finds a reason why outside would be fun. In the end, Mama Rabbit does ask a question that gets a yes response. What do you think that question is? And do you think the little rabbit will keep saying yes? Check out this book to find out what happens. The last adventure we will talk about is about a mermaid, Luna. Written by Kelly DiPuccio, illustrated by Reza Figueroa, and published by Catherine Tegan Books, is the story of a brave little mermaid who collects treasure. She and her friend Otto go throughout each day exploring and getting into lots of trouble while looking for treasure. They find keys, buttons, and even lost gold. One day, while going to look for more treasure, they find a beautiful sparkly crown. Una, of course, really wants it, but it's stuck deep down in the rift. Still, she decides that she must have it. Along the way, she runs into a lot of trouble. She comes up with a lot of different plans, but they all seem to not work out. Una even gets hurt a couple of times. Finally, she comes up with an idea that involves treasure hunting goggles. After lots of problems and work, she ends up getting the crown, but realizes that she doesn't really care about it. She finds out that some of the best things aren't really found, but rather made. Interesting story of perseverance, invention, and inspiration by a little girl and her friend.
Those are the highlights for the juvenile picture books this month. We have lots more to check out. You can do this by visiting defiancelibrary.org or by visiting us in person. Hope to hear from you soon.